my boss, Blitz. And my...
Millie, I'm his wife.
And what a beautiful wife you are. Mox, where you been hiding this pretty little thing?
Oh, I'm sure he would have introduced us eventually.
Oh, I'm sure. You gotta be Blitz with the silent O, right? I've heard a lot of good things about you and your work.
Really? What kind of shit has Moxxie been spreading about me? I'll fucking kill you, Moxxie! Don't you fucking test me!
No, from all over. Looks like you're building a bit of a name for yourself here, kid.
Really? Huh. Well, I guess it's about time folks recognize my talent.
I like your attitude. Well, I hope you're all hungry. We put together a fabulous dinner for you.
Hey, baby, why haven't I met your pa before?
Well, you know, it's just never been a... Hey, you two! Move it before it gets cold. Look, Millie, we can talk about it later.
I feel my darling sister deserves a bit more compensation. After all, you didn't cheat on the poor thing.
Sexy? That's Striker, sir.
I swear on all that is evil, Mox, if you aren't out of my office in -3 seconds.
You got it, sir. Guess I'm just more mature than your typical preteen. So, you want to be friends?
The fuck is wrong with your legs?
What? I was in an accident.
Come on, Blitzo! Haven't you fucked my life up enough already?
Honey, only half an eye.
What?
What?
Glad you can admit it. Want a medal?
Day 3 of Level Up Expo. You guys having fun? Good. Who's ready for this panel? Please join me in welcoming our esteemed group of panelists, starting with Vivian Nixon Williams. Say hello to Richard Horvitz. Please give a warm welcome to Brandon Rogers. And say hello to Bryce Pinkham. Please give a fantastic reception to Erica Lindbeck. And say hello to Morgana Ignis. And last but certainly not least, say hello to Georgie. Oh gosh. Welcome everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well.
We are busy. Thank you.
You guys. And we have some questions for each of you. Want to take it away?
Yeah, I'm answering the fucking questions here today.
Is this thing on?
I'm doing great so far. Really nailing this. All right, I've got some questions for the entire cast of Hazard. What is the show? Helluva Boss. The entire cast here. Starting on my left here with Erica. Yeah, it starts with you.
Oh God.
I promise it'll be good. Okay, our most recent episode was Seeing Stars, in which we get to see a lot more of Loona's developments. So going throughout the series so far and what you've done, you got to have this really great emotional conversation, which we all got to see with her and Octavia in the last episode. So I would love to hear from you. You got this script, you got to see this dialogue, how you got to sort of adjust and develop new things for Loona in this episode.
God, that's like such a good question.
I told you it would be good.
I actually was really nervous. I was really, really nervous because I was like, Loona has basically had one mode up until this point, angry. She's just pissed all the time, and that does not a character make, right? Like anger is an emotion that any character that you play should be able to be any type of way. They should be able to run the gamut of emotion. And I just was scared that of course, like there is a vocal component. I didn't want to lose the character of Loona in that scene, and I was like, okay, how do I do this? And I remember just going, okay, just drop all the pretense. Just do the scene. And I really I remember, I brought it way down. I did it like I would, like Erica would have talked to somebody, you know what I mean? And I remember I took Crispin Freeman's class, and he would always say, you don't need to throw so much sauce on it. There doesn't need to be so much sauce. And I always remind myself of that because you're just being human under different circumstances. That's what acting is. And so we all have the tools to act. Because we're human, right? And that was kind of what I reminded myself when I did that scene. And it is Loona, and it's me, and I love that scene.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have our Goetia Prince, Stolas. This weekend. Bryce, you've now gotten to meet a lot of the fans here. You've gotten to sort of experience this fandom. Coming from your acting work before and going to this medium, can you talk a little bit about how this experience has been for you, going from doing a lot of stage work and a lot of Broadway to this very different sort of thing entirely? Going basically from a very upscale Broadway audience to a room full of wonderful degenerates.
We have degenerates on Broadway too, don't worry. As I said yesterday, the experience for me has been one of the greatest surprises of my professional life thus far. And one of my favorite things about working on Broadway is actually after the show at the stage door, getting to meet people and talk to people. And I always say, compared to work that we do, for example, on TV and film, like we never get to meet any of the audience members. And so my favorite part of the Broadway experience is always meeting people who have just seen the show and getting to hear from them what they liked and what they came back to see again. And so we get little tastes of that. But a fandom like you guys, who you know the show and the characters as well or better than we do. And as I said yesterday, it's just amazing to feel like this thing that it's become sort of exists somewhere between us, the creators and the recipients. We're all fans of the show. And I don't know, I saw some just incredible costumes yesterday. I heard from people who traveled the world to be here. And it's just a testament to this thing that we're all a part of. And unlike on Broadway, it feels like the show is the fans. The fans are rolled into the show. I mean, I know that hearing from Viv that your team, correct me if I'm wrong, Viv, you incorporate things that you learn about the show and what people like from the fan base. So it just feels like an interaction unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And just the level of commitment and love that you guys have for the show is just incredibly inspiring, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So thanks for having me.
And big shout out to all the amazing Stolas cosplayers we've had out there who've been surprising Bryce at the booth. Those have been incredible.
For real. Yeah, no, and just to piggyback off that, yes, we are all fans of the show who make the show. The crew are fans, everyone's fans, and we love making this. And so the fandom, we see you guys and we love seeing what you enjoy, and we absolutely pay attention to that. Absolutely.
Brandon. Brandon Rogers. Yes. You have continuously made us laugh our asses off with your material throughout the show so far. Well, you know, what are you shaking your head for?
I was doing a double take. I saw a Blitz and then another. I'm seeing a sea of imp horns and other colored hair. Morgana, you got it. I got the floor for too long. I don't have a bit planned. This isn't a bit. Cut me off.
No. Oh, what? Sorry, I thought you were stalling.
No, I just have the floor. I'm not just gonna lose it to a pause. Just cut me off.
Okay, I got it. We're talking over me right now, the moderator.
Okay.
But so on top of making us laugh our asses off, you tore our hearts out at the end of season 1. Just absolutely just reached into the chest and tore it out as we're seeing more and more vulnerability from Blitz and kind of seeing beneath the layers of Blitz's terror drum why he acts out the way he does and treats people the way he does. And I want to ask you, going through those layers and the subtleties of the character, yeah, this is heavy shit, how you've developed Blitz and how you've found those emotional levels to take us from just these insane, obnoxious humor that Blitz has to these absolutely devastating emotional moments with him.
Piggy packing off my daughter here.
You say packing off my daughter?
All right. So I think that characters, no matter, okay, if your defining trait is that you're angry, you still have the capability of being everything else. If your defining trait is that you're an obnoxious asshole, which, let's face it, anyone who knew me, especially before Helluva Boss, this isn't much of a departure. One of my biggest gripes as a comic is that people think they see some flappy, tomfoolery jester, and they think that someone like that doesn't have the capability of having their heart broken or having a bad day, or at least when they go home, what do they like when they go to bed? Do they even have a bed? Do they sleep on their couch? Are they? You can't be the jester all the time, and so. I think it's really cool that we got to a point in Helluva where we do see Blitz at a vulnerable moment, and yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a task to get yourself there. When you get yourself there naturally, it's easy because you don't try. But when you're trying to, after doing a whole day of recording, like, God damn it, Mom, fuck me, insurance, this and that, and then all of a sudden we get to a moment where, and it's like. It's hard to remember the context sometimes of this moment, because a lot of it's in the stage direction. Blitz comes home. He is sad. He's walking past these things on his wall that just show the audience how sad his life is, and so Richard, who is our vocal director, did an amazing job at getting me up to that point. I remember when we shot that scene, is that in voice acting? You said to say shoot that when we recorded that bit.
That word, record.
Yes, when we recorded that bit. I remember like authentically getting there, and it was the first time I heard Richard also go there with me. I mean, it was this tone in his voice of like, all right, Brandon, like we're gonna get through this together. It was, in a way, quite manipulative. You really got me. It was like, you can do it, baby. That baby, he was saying,
let's get it on.
And the lips. All right, do that again. Take 2. It was a really intense moment, and it was sad, and it was weird walking out of the studio. I don't know if that was the last scene we shot that day. I want to say it was. I want to say it was toward the end of our day, because I remember feeling weird walking outside, and the sunlight hits you in your face, and the music's left on whatever song you had in your car, and back to whatever shit you were dealing with that day, and I was. You're just kind of, it's like going to therapy and they pull you back into all that shit and you walk out and you have to adapt to the world again. It was like that. So it was real, and it was amazing how Richard was able to sort of walk me through the emotions of going from Blitz to being Blitz. And it was all authentic, and I'm happy that it resonated. I mean, thank you, Viv, for picking a decent take of that, because I did it a few times.
I remember you were like saying, do you want me to re-record that? I feel like it's too sad. And I was like, no.
Yeah, you showed me an animatic of it, and I was like, oh. And it ends? It's like, and then the episode's over? And I was like, I can come back in. I said, I'll do it for free. I will just come in and I'll re-record something where he, and I also wanted to re-record how I said goodbye to you that night, and I felt so bad because, and I never told you this. I wanted to go back in and re-record that as well because I felt bad because he says night and drives off, and I just felt really bad because you didn't deserve. I know you did. Blitz maybe thinks you deserve. I know you didn't.
I know you didn't mean it. But it still hurt.
I'm sorry. I'm
Not
sorry.
in front of the people, Blitz.
I know.
It's getting so horny up here.
I know.
Feel the tension radiating to the other couches.
That's the vibe, the vibrato of his cloaca right now. I'm not kidding. It's electric.
You told me this was like a Nick Jr. show. I was learning stuff about this show.
In the wrong place, I'm so sorry.
This is not a Nick Jr. show?
It's not, no.
Oh, Richard,
You've been on the wrong show for years.
How long was I out?
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. I was trying to avoid the general questions entirely about the characters, but you actually mentioned the cloaca, so you know.
Oh, yeah. It's hard and throbbing right now. What? Here's mine. My cloaca. I don't know. I don't want to confirm anything that Blitz does or doesn't have that's not been shown on the cartoon. So yeah, well, the fan art's going to have to consult with Viv because she knows exactly the genitalia, and I know you all know you all have theories on how big is what, how juicy is this and that.
If you want to get confirmation, email Vivian Madrano at Just send any reference you think might be right. Okay, before jumping on to the next couch, since I have my beloved Georgie with me, the second part of our barn owl here, I want to ask in just the kindest way possible my question for you, which is, why are you such a bitch? Yes! Yeah, there's a better way of asking that, I'm sure. You know, we've seen a lot of levels of Stella, and obviously from the preview we have here, we're about to see a lot more bullshit between Stella and Stolas in a future episode. But I would love to hear from you on developing Stella's character in this series and your inspirations going into it.
Oh my goodness, well, it's funny because in life, I'm not a very angry person. But then on this show, I play a very angry person. Brandon has had me be very angry as the Queen, may she rest in peace. Love you, Queenie. I'm glad you didn't die before we ended filming normal British series, because that would have been inappropriate. But it's funny, just as a human, anger is actually an emotion that I really struggle to express.
I can help you with that.
Thank you. I get to do it now through my work. I get to get really fucking angry all the time, and I actually got the inspiration from my mother. I hope she's not watching. I have a very angry Polish mother, and even though Stella is not Polish, yeah, I definitely. To you?
I met Georgie's mom at 3 in the morning.
I'm the favorite of the two of us. We're mothers, so.
No,
Yeah.
Georgie, she's a wonderful mom, but I had the misfortune of meeting her at 3 in the morning. I came home and she was visiting and staying with Georgie, and I woke her up, and the look on her face.
Oh my goodness, yeah. She's a scary mother.
Well, I saw Stella.
I love you, Mom. She's my best friend and the best woman on earth. But she's angry. So yeah, I do remember like when I was first coming in to voice Stella, I was like, okay, all right, come on, Mummy. Bring it. Give it. I need to do what you do to Dad. Oh, not like that. Oh yeah, Mother is my inspiration, and yeah, it's just such an honor to be with you guys on this stage and to be on this show and to be a bitch. I fucking love it.
And that answer is why Georgie's mother loves me more than her.
Don't send it to my mom.
This will never be released, I'm sure. People aren't tweeting this right now. It's all good. Okay, our final couch over there before getting to Viv. Vivian Nixon, my beloved sister Millie. And since we have you both here at the same time at this convention for the first time you two are meeting in person, Richard Horvitz, our Moxxie. On a foul-mouthed show full of horny-ass demons, the two of you have the most beautiful, wholesome relationship between Millie and Moxxie. Like, I love looking out in the audience right now and seeing just how many couples cosplays there are of those two characters together. And I would love, just like a dual question for both of you, since I have both of you on the same couch, talking about the development you two have with your relationship with your characters together, just the beautiful relationship that Millie and Moxxie have in this show, and what they've been through together.
I'm gonna take this mic and I'm excited to be here today because I super fucking sucked at this panel yesterday because it's my first time doing a panel.
I got you. I got you.
I was like so shy and I'm excited to be here answering this question. Oh, thank you. It's been amazing, this journey of Millie and Moxxie. What has been so fun is I always get this casting for the African American girl, for the black girl, and I quite frankly sound like all the white girls I went to school with. And when I got the text for this show, I was so inspired. I put on high heels. I was pregnant. I put on high heels and a little short dress, and I squeezed my knees together, and I came up with some high giggly voice, and I actually read for Keeney the first time, and I auditioned for Keeney. And I recorded for Keeney, and I ended up getting called, and I booked Millie. They called me the next day, and they were like, "We actually want you to play Millie." And it was the most incredible news of my life to get to play opposite Richard Horvitz.
Hell yeah!
Yes! What I would say is it's been really easy to fall in love with him because I fell in love with him the moment I got to step in that booth and he directed me. And so there was no digging, there was no pulling, it was intrinsic, it was natural, and it was easy and effortless.
Wow, I got tears in my eyes. That was very sweet. That was very sweet.
Eminem forever.
So, I too put on high heels. I am very fortunate because Vivian knew that she wanted me in the show from the get-go, and so I felt very fortunate that she let me be so involved with getting to direct, first of all, and when we heard Vivian Nixon come in and do Millie, both Vivian and I went, "Wow, that's Millie right there." So it wasn't a hard decision whatsoever. And for the development of Moxxie, I'm really lucky because if you listen, it just kind of sounds like me. So, and I don't have to do this so much. So, that was nice, and getting to work with everyone is just like such a joy, you know. And Vivian Medrano and I start sometimes at 6 in the morning with our sessions. We'll start at 6 because Bryce will be on the East Coast and we have to direct him on the East Coast. And then,
Broadway degenerate.
Yes, those degenerates.
Fucking diva.
Yes. And then sometimes we don't, and then on our longest day we started at 6 in the morning and we recorded someone in Australia at 8 o'clock at night.
It was really late.
It was really late. So our day was like a 14-hour recording day, which was, but it was fun, and we were all working from home. And anyway, that doesn't answer your question, Morgana. But where am I?
You had to wrap with
How long have I been out? How long? Yes. It is one of the best relationships ever. And what I love about it is that it's like, I'll be honest with you, there was that scene in the Stryker episode where we could have gone the typical way where Millie really was into Stryker and Moxxie was jealous, but it was never that. which is what I think was brilliant about the episode, is that, you know, Millie's love for Moxxie and vice versa is never in question. I said yesterday that one of my favorite moments is that moment where you're stuck in the bear trap, and it's just, we work as a team. And I think that's what I think that is what the key to a relationship is to work as a team. And someone said to me a long time ago that you always wait for the one, or like the perfect one, and someone said, it's the person whose crazy matches your crazy. You know? They complement, right? Yeah, different crazies, yeah, and that's true. And so I'm very fortunate to work with Vivian, and look, I'm very shy. Okay.
And last but not least, our beloved creator, Vivian Medrano. We have seen a bunch of what's coming up in this preview right now, and we have also seen a lot of this world in just leading up to this point. We've seen Hip City, we've seen we've seen Earth, we've seen, the Lust Ring, all these different places, and now we've gotten a little bit of a glimpse of Greed, correct?
Yes.
So we're getting into a lot of the world building stuff as we're sort of expanding with these characters and the places we're going. And my question is, how long have you been sitting on this world? Like, how long has this world been sort of churning in your head? You've been thinking about this stuff, and now we finally have the opportunity to see these ideas that you've been coming up with for such a long period of time.
That's a very good question. Wow, so this world, it's kind of an involved answer because there's been so much development over these years, but it's also been kind of rapid fire because, some of the characters, so, I can't avoid talking about Has-Been in this instant, but, some of the characters that I had in Has-Been were as far back as middle school, and so, I had been creating these characters over, my whole, art life has been creating characters and telling stories, ever since I was really little. My grandparents loved to tell the story about, I used to just tell the same stories over and over again and then make them tell them back to me when I was a tiny child. And so I've been doing this for a very long time, and I love creating characters, and I would create characters kind of in no one world, or at one point I had a webcomic and they were all in that world, and then there was too many. It was like every possible ingredient in a soup, and it was awful. So I ended up taking some of that out and creating the hell from that universe that I was working on. I was like, you know what, I love the concept of hell in the sense that I love villains, and I love, I'm a big fan of the Batman Rogues Gallery, so I was like, what if there was a project that just was kind of full of villains like that? And so that's kind of where Has-Been came from. I had all these characters that I, again, since middle school, and all these edgy characters that I created over these years, and I kind of put them all into this project and started developing this hell world. And but I also really love mythology, and I love lore, and I love worlds that feel like they have a take on things, and I like adaptions of media and mythos and legends and stuff like that. So I was like, what if I take kind of the general kind of canonical hellish stuff, like Galicia's and the sins, and all these things.
What does canonical mean?
I don't know. Canon is accurate. Canon. Canon, but in a different wording. But anyway.
Isn't that like Mr. Mistopheles?
Yeah.
Oh.
You say, so basically I wanted to create a hell that was different from, because there's been so many hell-related animated shows, movies, comics, so many things, and I love it. I love different depictions of any kind of setting that's well-known. But I wanted mine to be more what would a city made entirely by kind of the sleaziest people that died and went to hell be? And so it's full of neon and strip clubs and bars and just all this like.
So Vegas.
Vegas and like Times Square, but like the seedier parts of Times Square, like all these like big bright lights, all these like big set pieces and stuff, all in one place. But through that, actually, when I was developing Helluva, was while working on the pilot for Has-Been, I was developing a bunch of different characters and a bunch of different things for like where the series would go and what other characters could like come into the story. And I came up with, I love that, we all know like imps, with the little pitchforks, the little minions, the devil, all things like that. And I was like, what would that be in this universe? Because this hell is so non-traditional. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, well, I think there's like different hellborn species versus like the sinners, which are the sinners are the people that, died and went to hell, because they're their own faction. And so I wanted to like figure that out for my own end so that I could figure out just like how the world worked. And through that, we created all these different things. And I've always wanted to do hell like a layered cake, so that's kind of how it is. And that's why there's like an elevator that takes you through each ring. And we only see that in Helluva Boss, because another way to kind of separate the universes, or the universes shared, but like to separate the shows, is that Helluva is much more about this hell universe. Has a completely different kind of narrative, and it's much more about like heaven and hell and things like that. So Helluva is about exploring what this hell is, and so I had to figure it out. Basically, we had to figure it out very fast, and we were developing it basically as we went, but like it came together in a way, and now we have kind of like a kind of a Bible of what the world is, which is very ironic.
Thank you for all those insights. That was amazing. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of our time here, guys, but can we give one more round of applause for these guys?
If you want to ask us more shit, we're going to be signing out of the convention hall, so come find us.
Yes, thank you all for coming. Please support them and the other amazing artists and special guests out there.
Well, I say that was a successful venture.